Good morning, Houston, Texas. Good morning to those watching places other than Houston, Texas. Good morning to the great state of Texas. How about that? Wait a minute. Time out. Start again. Hold on. I'm sorry. Redo that. Good morning, Houston. Good morning to the people listening in the surrounding areas. This is the Patriots Den. People are like, who's this guy?
Exactly.
This is the Patriots Den. I'm your host, Patrick. I'm here with my amazing, wonderful co-host.
The one and only Brian Fuentes.
The one, the only Brian Fuentes, as they like to call him. This is live, folks, from Radiodabang, a Mike Con production. We're having a blast here this morning. I'll say that. We've already been, this morning was interesting. I woke up and got dressed, and I said, man, it's going to be a great day. I thought I was going to go fishing later on today. I walk outside, it was raining. I said, that's the Houston for you. So if you're in Houston, grab your raincoat, grab you an umbrella. It's supposed to rain a lot today.
Really? And you call yourself a fisherman. You're going to let a little rain stop you?
Did I say I wasn't going?
That's fair.
Okay, there it is. Hey, folks, we have a show for you on today. On yesterday, actually. I was ready yesterday for today. I had the show for you way in advance. Thank you so much. Speaking of advanced, speaking of ahead of their time, speaking of one of the greatest to ever do it, the greatest of all time, President Donald J. Trump. Folks, when was the last time we really just sat down and looked at Donald Trump's accomplishments?
I think it's been a while. If anything, this will be the first time if we did it today.
Exactly. So guess what we're going to do today, Brian?
Oh, really? Today's the day?
We got an hour and there's, why not? Why not?
I don't know. I figured you'd want to wait like on a big milestone or something,
I want to do it today. I first want to start with, he announced that they arrested and deported a big guy of the MS-13, I think it was, the gang, and how the Venezuelan prisons have, taken in these illegal immigrants. Have you seen the videos?
Oh, yeah, I have. They're quite interesting, frankly.
Quite interesting.
You wouldn't see this under the Biden administration,
No.
You could never. It's a fun video to watch, frankly. It's being I can't believe it. They're finally doing something about it.
Right. It's one thing when they say that they're doing it. It's another thing when you can see it being done. Right? And that's where we are. We are at a position where it's time for us to actually see things happen. It's time for us to get the train moving. And that's what the Trump administration has done. They're putting us in a position now where we are seeing things be done. They're putting it on video. They're making ASMRs of the chains and the handcuffs clicking and all that. I love it. It's what we needed. I can't remember her name. Kristi Noem, that's her name. Got it. Kristi Noem actually went to Venezuela, and she made a video standing in front of, the prison, and all you see behind her is these illegal immigrants and these gang members that have been arrested and deported back to where they come from.
Yeah.
Or, if they didn't want to go where they came from, Venezuela has opened their doors up and is like, okay, well, you can come to our prisons. We need prisoners, so come on over. So I think that's an amazing take. So we're thankful for that. But the basis of the immigration problem that we're seeing, right? We've seen that there are still people coming here, right? Legal immigration is not the problem. We don't have a problem with someone coming here. This is America's the world's first and only option. We want you to come here. But if you're going to come here, you got to go through the port of entry. You got to do it the legal way. Brian, I know you are the descendant of, immigrants. So, talk to the people.
Yeah, no, I mean, this, great land, by extension, this great state specifically is a land of opportunity. Me and myself, I am a first-generation American, but, my family as a whole has lived here for generations. We go hundreds of years back, if I remember correctly. And it's, just, like I said, it is the land of opportunity. It's the place where, number one, you have nowhere else to be other than the U.S. And, it's an amazing place. I can see why so many people try to get in legally and illegally. I mean, I don't blame them for wanting to come here. But as you said, you have to do it the right way through a port of entry. You can't just come in or else, we don't know who you are. We don't know what your goals are. You know what you're here to do. And more importantly, you're not here to pay taxes either. So you get all the services, all the protections that come with being in the U.S., but none of the responsibilities of paying for it. So,
Right.
it's, as you said, do it legally or, just don't do it at all.
Yeah. And like you said, you're getting the benefits of it, and it comes down to the American taxpayer. The person who does do it legally and the person who was born here, when they pay their taxes, a lot of these states are taking those taxes and putting it towards illegal immigrant care, right? And there's a lot of politicians running around here who, truly think that illegal immigration is not a crime. I'm going to quote a elected representative from Dallas, Jasmine Crockett, and we'll get into her even later in the show. But she said illegal immigration is not a crime. Actually, ma'am, it is.
It's in the name.
It's why it's called illegal. As Trump said, it's illegal. So I don't understand why the illegal part is so hard for people to comprehend.
Well, but it's the idea that a person can just be illegal by going from in their eyes, an imaginary line.
Mm-hmm.
They have a very hard time because they're at the same time very collectivistic, but also very individualistic. And this is one of those situations where the individual comes out. They can't comprehend the idea of a community and, by extension, a country being a cohesive unit. Mm-hmm. They think a country is only there to support you as an individual. Mm-hmm. The antithesis to what JFK said, as we said on last week's show. What can you do for your country, not what can your country do for you.
Do for you, yeah.
The Democrats, they think the exact opposite. They think, what can the country do for me? And this is a very easy extension of that, pretty much. You see the Democrats saying, well, this country is only an economic zone, basically. We only exist to give people jobs and money. And when people come here, we're helping out their home countries because we've colonized them or we've abused them or X, Y, Z. The Democrats, they've been doing this for decades now, where they basically, for one reason or another, some Democrats actually believe this, where they think they're helping the people. Other Democrats, are lobbied by big corporations, frankly, because, I think that's pretty common sense, why corporations would want illegal immigration. Cheap labor, which is good for the bigger economy, but it hurts the American, individual, because what happens now? Basic supply and demand, I'm pretty sure you know that at least, right?
Right. It's basic, supply and demand. It's basic,
So
just
what happens
facts.
What happens when you artificially inflate the labor supply? And demand doesn't go up to match it.
The demand doesn't go up to match it. So,
the price of labor goes down.
You have all of this stuff, right? You have all this labor. You have all this labor, and it's so easy to find it that there's no reason for me to go and pay you, $20 an hour when I can go over here and pay this guy $7 an hour, because
Exactly.
everywhere I look, there's somebody that wants that labor job. And I think that's why a lot of people get confused with supply and demand and things of that nature, the basic cause and effect of things. People don't understand cause and effect of things. We're gonna do something a little different here today, folks. Y'all mind that? We're going to have a live audience here. Give me 1 second while I do this. But people don't understand the cause and effect of things, and that's bothering. That's frightening when you have people who walk around calling themselves elected officials, saying they know something, when in reality, they don't know anything.
Yeah.
They don't know anything. And we have elected officials running around here who are, how can I say this, not smarter than a fifth grader. We all remember that show, right? Are you smarter than a fifth grader? They're not.
You ever wonder why the show got canceled?
Thank you. Because we saw that people aren't smart. Speaking of people not being smart, they're complaining that the Department of Education is being, removed. Thank you, President Trump. That's
Amen.
Another accomplishment. So we see the illegal immigration going down. Now we got the Department of Education being removed, and people have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that, right? We look at education rates in America, Brian. Tell them the numbers.
Yeah, no, they're horrible. Memory serves me right. I think 31% of the students in the U.S. are not proficient in mathematics. And once again, if memory serves right, I think that's 23 or 21% in reading as well.
Yeah.
So it's like our numbers aren't good. We've been giving them billions of dollars, and we haven't seen any results in it. And I'll tell you, who I blame? I blame Obama, frankly.
I wish I could say that I blame Obama.
No. You know why? The No Child Left Behind thing.
Oh, that's a big one.
I genuinely think by trying to have every student be on the same level, we basically hold all the good students back, and we don't help out the bad students because we're not accommodating them. We're just basically doing a one size fits all.
Right.
So you prevent the people who would overachieve from actually being able to overachieve, and then you basically don't help out the people who need the help because once again, you're going for the median.
Absolutely.
Which,
yeah. That's the thing with our education system right now, right? We have people, which is why I always say, you can flaunt, the GPA and everything, but when you look at the statistics and the data of the Department of Education, the American child is not smart. The average American child is actually pretty dumb. And when it comes to, just having common sense, knowledge, we're in college.
that's so skibbity.
Right. See, it's the stuff, the way technology is now as well. The average person, me and Brian Fuentes, we're both college students. We're both in college. And and we walk around and there's like out loud reading, right? We all have a book, and everyone in a college classroom, right? Lecture, whatever you want to call it, sit down to read a book. You would be surprised how many college kids who got accepted into university do not know how to fluently read an English book.
Oh, don't even get me started in algebra either. Like math skills?
Math skills down, right? I may be, you may catch me slipping 1 or 2 times, but for the most part, I can sit down, I can do some algebra homework.
What's 5 times 8, Pat? 5 times 8.
We're not doing that right now. Listen, folks. I'm not doing this right now.
Oh, come on, it's a simple one. That's like second grade math.
You
didn't memorize your times tables?
I am in political mode. We're not solving math equations today.
Really? I thought we were going to talk about the economy.
We haven't got there yet. We haven't got to the economy yet. Calm down. Thank you so much.
You're talking about education. Come on, 5 times 8?
40. Now, let's move on. Okay, thank you. 40. See, y'all see what he did there? He said, what's 5 times 8? It's 40. We're moving on. The average American kid can't read. They can't comprehend things, right? They don't have social skills. America's missing social skills. So my question is, what exactly was the Department of Education good for? What was the Department of Education doing in the first place?
I know.
When we have kids walking around doing absolutely nothing?
It's one good thing I can say. Everyone knows what a pronoun is now.
Thank you.
That's what they were doing.
That everyone knows what a good pronoun is now. You can be he, him, she, her, they, them. Just like when they added letters and shapes to math, they started adding letters and shapes to pronouns. You can now be ze, them. I said, what? It's
don't forget the plus as well.
Yeah, you can get pluses and everything. They started adding curriculum to being LGBTQIA
I think that's how they're trying to teach people math now. They're using them.
If you can tell me how many genders there are, then you deserve a degree in math.
Exactly.
There it is.
See, I think we're giving the Department of Education a hard time here. Maybe they were trying to get to us. We were just too right-wing to understand.
Too right-wing to understand what is happening.
We have to be a little bit more gay maybe, and we'll learn our math that way.
You need to have a little more color in your life, and then y'all catch that one on the way home. And then you'll be okay. But no, you have, I said a quote, I think it was maybe our second show. And I said, kids are going to school to learn their ABCs, but they're walking out knowing their LGBs. And that's part of the problem now. Why is it that you feel the need to teach sexuality more than you think it is important to teach reading? And when you are teaching reading, you're teaching reading about sexuality to kindergartners, right? So the Department of Education wasn't doing anything because the fact that we had to have an argument over what is needed in education while having a Department of Education cancels out what the Department of Education is actually for, right? So anyone who wants to make the argument, and Brian, I'm going to hand it off to you real quick so you can explain to the people, what exactly is happening with food, how are kids going to eat at school? That's a big thing. So I'll let you answer that here real quick. A lot of people are asking about special needs kids and, autism and things like that. What is that? Where's that going to go? I'll hand that off to you.
So, very quickly, first of all, food will be going to agriculture, the Department of Agriculture. I believe special needs and people who have, extra requirements than a normal student. I believe that's going to the Health and Human Services. And scholarships, Pell Grants, and all that stuff is going to be, I believe, going to the Treasury as well. Okay. So, all these good programs people say we don't want to lose out on, they're still going to be somewhere. They're just not under the Department of Education, which, as we've established, is only really there to promote the liberal agenda. Because guess what? They're unelected officials who are appointed by cabinets. And unfortunately, the Republicans haven't had the balls to effectively put our people in there because they're like, oh, that's not important. That's not going to get me more campaign dollars because who cares about, who I put in for the Department of Education.
And we live in Texas, as many people know, watching online, all over wherever y'all are. We live in Texas. Texas has independent school districts where we don't really rely on the Department of Education anyway, right? When you're wanting to know the curriculum for what your child is learning, you go and you vote in school board members. You go and you vote in trustee members. You vote in a superintendent. These are the people that build your curriculum for what the child is learning, not the Department of Education. The Department of Education, statistically speaking, has done more harm to the United States education than it has good. The education in America started declining after the Cold War when it was supposed to help. So it was counterproductive is what we're seeing.
Thanks, Obama.
Thanks, Obama. Literally, because it was counterproductive. Like you said, when No Child Left Behind came into fruition, that's why we have kids now who can miss every single day of school
and still graduate.
And still graduate. I remember, maybe it was I was talking to, and we were talking about, on like graduation day, you sit down and you're hearing a person's name be called, and you're like, wait a minute.
Oh, I kid you not. It was like months before graduation was going to happen. They sat down, all the seniors, myself included, and they tell us like, hey, get y'all stuff together. Y'all, only 25% of y'all meet the requirements to graduate. And that was before they got, this manipulation of the numbers. Because these were new principals, new administration. How bad is it going to look if 25 or 75% of your graduating class doesn't graduate?
Right.
You'd like never get a job anywhere. But guess what? They don't have to tell the superintendent this. They don't have to say any of this. They can just be like, through our hard work and determination, we made these students learn what they needed to learn in 3 months. And now every student gets to graduate, no matter how low their grades were. You know what they actually did? They told every professor or teacher, you can't fail any of the students. Give them a 70 if you have to. So it was a complete mess. Like these people should not have graduated, but no, they graduated because it's like they need their job,
right? And
we can't have failure anymore in schools.
It's for money. It's all for money.
It's just you have to be mediocre. That's failure now, and that's not a good thing. It's like, oh, if failure or mediocre is failure, that means we can't be any worse than that. No. It just means we tell people you're mediocre. You're actually failing, but there's no way of proving that. And by extension, I think that's why college is so expensive. It's because the high school diploma used to have value, because if you failed high school, you would actually get held back. You would have to retake the classes until you were ready to graduate.
Or you got to get a GED.
Exactly.
Right.
Nowadays, that's no longer the case. Everyone who goes to high school will graduate.
It's easier to get a high school diploma than it is to get a cup of water out here. I mean,
exactly. So with that being said, that's why, in my opinion, I believe the university education is so expensive now, and like why a low entry job requires a bachelor degree. It's because a bachelor degree today is what a high school diploma used to be. So if you want to work in an office job, blue-collar job, back then high school diploma would be what you needed if you weren't super specialized. Nowadays, you need a bachelor's just to, entry-level job, just because that's what a new high school diploma is. Like, okay, high school is free game, but they can fail you in college. So if you at least have that, that means you did your work. That means you're ready to go.
I also want to add that, and what you're saying is 100% true, right? You saw it happen in real time. I saw it happen in real time at the school that I went to, right? I saw it happen in real time where there were people who walked across the graduation stage who definitely should not have walked across that graduation stage. You never came to school. You're great. You were failing all your classes. We all know what really happened there. But that's all started, right? It's also, like you said, it all started under Obama with the No Child Left Behind. We also have to remember the generation that we grew up in. We grew up in a generation that was very soft. We grew up in a very timid generation, which goes back to last. I
wouldn't say so.
It's changing. It's changing.
Patrick,
but
I don't know how you were in high school.
It's definitely a timid generation.
Okay. Think about the guys around you.
I'm thinking about. Let's stop
there
that.
we go. Okay.
So look, let's make it for the record. Me and you, right? We go to a private university. Okay. Most of the people we are, brought up around have the same ideals as us.
Okay. What about public school? I went to public school.
You went to public school.
Title I as well.
You went to public school, right? And so there's still the ideals and the things that are said, right? Take all that you know and throw it out the window. Throw that out the window. When I say we are growing up in a soft and timid generation, we grew up in the generation of participation trophies. Am I wrong?
I would say half of us did, frankly.
Right. You take that to any other generation, that's the most. That's the most. The silent generation, they didn't have that.
Yeah, but it started with the boomers.
Boomers
dude.
didn't have that.
It started with the boomers.
No,
you think
our
that's,
generation?
No. You're
our
not telling me
generation
those hippies
overly
were not doing the participation trophies.
It started there, and it progressively is getting worse.
Yes, but I'm saying to say the boomers were.
It's progressively getting worse. We know it's getting worse because 7% of people in America identify as LGBT, but they're the loudest. It's the loudest group,
and it's higher in Gen Z as well.
Exactly. But that's why I'm saying we're growing up in. On record, I'm not saying that this generation is soft, but you compare to other generations, you cannot sit here and tell me that Gen Z is just the toughest generation.
But at the same time, we're at a point now where Gen Zers are more conservative than our boomer grandparents as well.
I will agree. There has been a cultural shift thanks to Donald J. Trump. Thanks to Donald Trump, we're seeing a cultural shift. I'll give you that. But before Trump came along, Trump has just been kind of like a block in the road. It's been a block in the road. But before that, we grew up in a generation of participation trophies. People thought that, and it's still today, there are people in
Xbox gaming lobbies, Call of Duty lobbies throw away participation.
But how many people
energy.
genuinely sat down and played Xbox gaming lobbies in our generation? Not many. We can walk around our college campus today. Half of them didn't do that.
Well,
which is why we have so many interesting people on our college campus today. Which is why you have so many interesting people walking around with the blue hair, and you have a lot of people who are, how do we say that, their BMI is not adding up, right? The obesity scales in America are literally having to be changed due to, the average American just being big and fat and lazy. It's sloppy. We live in America's becoming a sloppy country because we've turned away from conservative ideals. Conservative ideals, which used to be the norm, are no longer the norm. And for the very longest time, liberal ideology used to be popular. That's why we weren't having Republicans win the popular vote. Trump came and turned that around. We won the popular vote this time. I'll say we're on an uprise. But right now, where we stand right now, we cannot sit here and say that this fight is over. We have a very long way to go because conservative ideals are not common just yet. I used to say it all the time, make common sense great again. How do we get back to where conservative ideals are the common thing? You go back and you look at videos of people in the 1950s, the 1960s, 1970s, 1980s. It didn't really start to fall off until 80s, 90s. You go back. The music, the culture, the way people
dress. It started
with
the hippies, dog. The boomers ruined everything.
I'll say that. The hippies are what caused the downfall of what
Silent
we're seeing
generation,
now.
great people.
Right.
Boomers can't say much good things about them.
But you look at the generation of which they grew up in, and, even then, it still wasn't that bad.
But they ruined everything.
They were loud, but they weren't that bad.
But they ruined everything. They were given the best economy in the world. Mm-hmm. They were given the best position in the world. And they ruined it. Mm-hmm. They genuinely sold out our country to other people and basically left nothing for their grandchildren to have. Objectively, you can say boomers are, one of our best voting bases. They vote for us. They're not voting for us because they understand the policies. That's the reason why Mitch McConnell's still in office. Mm-hmm. It's because they just see red and they're like, oh, cool. More, my Social Security won't get touched and, less taxes. They don't vote red like we do. We vote red because we like the nationalistic policies of the Republican Party. The America First. These boomers don't care about America First.
But the boomers aren't. The boomers, we have to remember, the boomers are at a point now where they're too old for the culture, right? They're too old for the culture. We can't blame it on them.
They started the degeneracy we see today.
But we have to talk about the right now.
The hippies, the sexual revolution. That all came because of the hippies, which, once again, are the boomers.
We can't go back and we can't change history. So we have to accept what is happening right now, and we have to come up with a solution on how to fix the right now. We can't complain about the past unless you can first give me a solution about the present. That's a bar. Someone write that down. You can't complain about the problems of the past until you have a solution for the present. So right now, as we're sitting here, I'm saying, give me a solution for the present. Give me a solution for the present. The reason why you have things like this, and oh my God, it's 10. Do you know what time it is? It's 10:41.
Whoa.
That time went by like that. Wow. But we'll keep going. You have people walking around here like Jasmine Crockett. What does it mean to be a woman? What does it mean to be a high-class woman? It's being dragged and degraded by people like Jasmine Crockett walking around. She's hot, trashy, ghetto mess. That's what she is. She's classy. She's classless and tacky. Walking around calling the disabled governor of Texas Hot Wheels. Right? Like what are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah,
that's where our that's where
it's so
we've
unclassy.
gotten.
Like it's like guy jokes. Like whenever we say things to each other, it's funny because we're friends. Whenever someone else does it, it's just like, come on, man.
It doesn't look good on you.
No.
In fact, you look disgusting. You have Jasmine Crockett sticking her tongue out and things like that. And we are living in a society, like you said, the sexual revolution was started by the hippies. Sure. But now we've put ourselves in a position where a woman thinks that it's okay to sell her body online. We put ourselves in a position where people think it's okay to be fat. I'm just going to say the word. They think it's okay to be fat. They think fat is cute. It's not. Lose some weight, right? That's where we have to start doing. I saw someone said make bullying great again. I'm not saying that we need to bring back bullying, but we need to bring back telling the truth.
I'm just saying, all this furry stuff started after those stop bullying stuff started.
Exactly. Now you have people walking around with collars and, fur and thinking they're foxes and dogs. No, you're weird.
Back in high school, when I was a senior, there was this one picture floating around because apparently at one of the schools in our district, some guy was being walked around with a collar. Like he had a collar on and the leash and everything, and someone was like walking them with a leash.
Yeah.
I'm like, we need to bully people again.
This
like
is
if,
not
like in that
normal.
School, if you
It's
would
not
have
normal.
If you would have said something to them like you're weird or you're not normal, who
You're
gets
the
in
bad
trouble?
guy.
The person with the collar?
Or you for telling the truth that, hey, you're a human being. You're not supposed to be being walked around the hallways with a collar on.
Oh my God, dude. This one time, a teacher, like I get it. Maybe it was a bit off color. It was an off color joke I made. Maybe. But I was like, sometimes I wonder if, parents don't beat their kids enough.
Can we talk about that?
And you know what she said? She said if I ever say something like that again, I'm getting written up and taken out of her class.
No, but seriously, can
Like,
we
genuinely.
make, disciplining your kids great again? We wanted to make America great again. It starts in the home. How are parents raising their kids? And then you go online.
I'll tell you how they're, I'll tell you right now how they're raising them. All right, leave me alone. Don't talk to me.
Let me show them right. This right here. This is how people are raising their children. The amount of kids that I know can unlock this phone. How do you turn this on? The amount of kids that can go ahead, the beautiful picture of Brian Fuentes, by the way, folks, right? The amount of people that can go, kids, right, that can go in, they can unlock this phone. It just changed. That's crazy. You can unlock this phone and they can give you how to fix your technology, but they can't even spell their own name. They can open this phone and find the coolest YouTube video. They know all the TikTok dances and everything, but they don't know what 5 times 8 is. It's 40. There are kids out there that know how to use this phone. What happened? I remember how my parents raised me. Shout out to my mother real quick. Whenever I would come home from school or do work, I could have everything done. And I just want to go upstairs and just sit on the phone or, get on the Xbox, just do something, right? Technology-wise. That's enough of that. Come downstairs. Socialize. Talk to people.
You know what I got?
Go outside. Now I can sit in the room all day and, TikTok and all that. But because the foundation has already been laid, if technology was to be taken away from me right now, I can still function and maintain in society.
Yeah, with me, it was like very similar. Actually, not as much. Whenever I got home, I didn't go to the video game or anything because, frankly, we just didn't have one. Parents never saw the good in it. They're like, oh, it's just a waste of money, waste of time. Plus, recession was when you and me were growing up as well. So, money wasn't there all the time. But point is, you know what I would go do? I would go play with my Lego sets. And if it was like I was done with class for the week, my mom would take me to a library and I'd check out a bunch of books and boom, that'd be what I do all day. Yeah. Not anymore. Now I see my younger nephews, my parents, they had me and my 2 younger brothers and that's it. Both of them are in high school right now. So you can probably guess no one really grew up with this too much. That being said, I look at my younger nieces and nephews, and it's like, no, it's awful. Like one of them, I went out to meet with some family, extended family, a while back ago. We were all eating dinner together, and I was like, oh, that's weird. They're all really quiet right now. Look over.
Yeah.
All you see. And then it's like, I get
They're
it.
flickering screens and flashing blue lights.
Well, yeah, not only do you first of all, giving a kid a phone is one of the worst things ever. You and me are grown men, and we know what stuff the internet can have. You don't know what your kid's doing on there. You don't know what they're looking up. That being said, that's a whole different thing. The other thing is their attention spans. They're quiet now, but battery runs out. You need to take a phone call.
Literally.
Good luck putting them out.
Literally. And so, they have an amazing attention span on the stuff that they like. My thing is when they get to school, they don't have these things.
You don't think they're just like...
That's they like doing that.
Well, that's not attention span.
That's the thing that they like. They like paying attention to that. That's the thing that they like. The moment you take that away, what happens? Like you said, it's they're whining, they're complaining. No. I wish I would. My parents wished I would have tried something like that. Sit down, right? That's what. But that's
good parenting.
That's good parenting. That's
Discipline.
good parenting. Call it what you want. I look back, I'm very grateful for the way that I was raised, because I look around now.
Yeah, you would have had a pinker shirt right now if you weren't.
I would have had a pinker shirt on, folk, but I don't. Okay, I leave my shirt alone. But no, one of my favorite musical artists is Hank Williams Jr. And he has a song called "A Country Boy Can Survive." Right? He can say, we can catch a fish, we can run a trot line. A country boy can survive. If you put someone like me, and then you put someone who was raised within this modern era outside, who's going to survive, right? A lot of these people, they don't know how to fish. They couldn't survive if their life depended on it. They can't set up a tent. Most of them can't cook. They rely solely on fast food to survive.
Because Patrick, on one hand, it's like, think about it from an individual perspective. Like, think about it like a liberal would. All these people suck at life now. I don't suck at life as much as they do.
Right.
That means it's good for me because I can compete better than them. But on the other hand, as a normal person who cares about the community they live in, it's like, this is my fellow man, and they're doing worse because of the things around them.
Yeah.
And you're sure I could benefit from them being incompetent, but I wouldn't. My country wouldn't. You know, you have to have loyalty to bigger things other than yourself here.
Right.
And it's like, okay, cool. My country isn't benefiting from all these people genuinely being worse off than they were 20 years ago, 30 years ago, et cetera. So that's why we need to care about these people. Because the selfish thing is to not care because you benefit from that. You're smart enough to understand the problem. And if you have that discipline, you're smart enough to not get affected by it either.
Just what we talked about last week. Having belief in something other than yourself. That's literally one of the 3 points that we talked about last week.
Exactly.
Is believing in something other than yourself. Yes, I could be selfish and just watch the world burn. I said I just want to watch the world burn. Yes, I could do that, right? Yes, that would be the easy way out, but I don't want that. I don't want my fellow man to go down a path that we all know leads to eternal damnation. I don't want that. I want us all to be on this track so we can all, see each other again one day. That's my goal. That is my mission.
Like, you know what's the
I don't
thing
have to do it.
Pat,
It's hurting me more than it's helped me. If we're being honest, you can say the same thing. I have lost more, speaking up and speaking the truth. I've had worse things said to me for speaking up and speaking the truth. If I really wanted to, I could say, you know what, I give up, I'm done, and step away and probably have a very peaceful, calm life. But at the back of my mind, I would always know that there was one more person I probably could have touched. One more person I probably could have changed. One more mind I probably could have inspired. So yeah, me and you, we get the hate messages all the time. But it's also different when I get that message saying, hey man, I love what you're doing. Keep it up. You're inspiring me to keep going for tomorrow. Because of you, I continue to have faith in civilization, faith in humanity, faith in this country. I'm going to stand behind the flag one more good time. Simply because of what you're doing. That's what the goal is. That's what the Patriots Den is for. Opening up that door so people can come in and say, hey, man, maybe there is hope.
Amen. And sorry to get off the very serious, very beautiful moment, by the way. That was amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Give it up.
The clip farmers out there, this is right here, gold content right here. This should have you for the rest of the week. But, a little joke to add on to that. I'm genuinely worried, man. Think about it. You have kids. Who are you going to leave your kids with? If you have to go out on dinner or something or business trip, you leave them with your brother, sister, friend or something. What's the chance that while you're gone, they just do this? Here, take this. Yeah. And that's all they do because, they have no other way of
No other way, which is why you have to surround yourself. And I've heard the saying all the time, it takes a community to raise a child, right?
A village, I believe.
A village. It takes a village to raise a child. You have to surround yourself with people with the same ideals and morals as you. The time out for, being in the middle, I say it all the time, is over. This is a war versus good versus evil. The time out for being like, oh, it's okay this one time. No. You have to find people who are going to align with your values, align with your morals, and when you have those kids, you put those kids around those people who align with your values, align with your morals, right? The Bible says, train up a child in the way that he shall go, so when he is older, he shall not depart from it, right? You got to start them off young. You train them, hands-on training. You surround them with people so they can learn these things, right? That's what we have to get back to doing. Is one of the biggest things back then was community. Whether you were black, white, Hispanic, I didn't care. There was community.
Yeah.
Right? And whenever something would happen bad to the community would rise up to try to fight back. Whether you agree with what the fight was or not, right? If we're going to just have a little history lesson right here, right? When, African Americans in America were oppressed, the African American community rose up. We got big leaders like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks. We got these people. They stood up and they fought back for the community, and the community joined them. All right? You have Hispanics during, I believe, World War II or Vietnam. I can't remember one, where the fabric was going down, and I believe that's where like the cholos kind of started happening in Western America. The Hispanic community rose up and they stood with each other and said, this is what we're gonna do. Right? The white community, when they face backlash, they stand up for each other, right? Every community the Jewish community, when they're attacked, they stand up for each other. The Indian community, when they're attacked, they stand up for each other. We have to go back to a time and sense of community. When America was hit on 9/11, what happened? America stood up for itself. Americans didn't care what you looked like, what you smelt like, how big you were, how little you were. They joined together and said, wait a minute, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That was a time in history where the saying stuck, and Americans truly lived by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Amen. And like that's really what we need to get back to. It's that sense of community. Because I'm gonna tell you what, why like these rates of depression are going up, why all of these like mental illnesses are going up. You could say it's because of the stuff in the food, the stuff in the water. Sure, maybe. Probably, to be honest with you. But I'll tell you what the real reason is. It's this epidemic of loneliness. That's the reason why this is happening. We have all these communications around us, all these phones, technology. Yet people are so much more alone nowadays. They say, oh, it's fine. I'll text them. That counts as, human connection. It's like, no, we weren't made by God to get our interactions with people on basically some photons, I believe that's the term, showing off into our eyes. It's, by talking to people that we get our connection. And I genuinely think people are becoming so much lonelier now because they think they can just get their satisfaction from, online, the internet, instead of going out and actually doing things in the world. That's one of the things I like about our fraternity so much, Phi Kappa Psi.
Shout out to Phi Kappa Psi, live ever, die never.
Exactly. we are philanthropy based, and we go out and help out the community. I mean, we've already volunteered so many times this year, and I think we're planning to go to a food bank later next month. Yeah. So like genuinely, it's stuff like that brings me hope. The fact that there's so many young men, especially, who are going out into the world to go help the community, whether it be evangelizing, missionary work, volunteering at a food bank, as we will be doing, or just cleaning up a park. Like another shout out, ACC, great organization. I have a lot of friends who work with ACC. They're a conservation society, but they're conservative. They don't just say the environment's dying and we need to stop, driving cars around. They're like, no, that's stupid. Let's actually clean up Houston. That's one thing they do. They go out in Houston and they go clean up trash. Like I travel around the country every now and then, and like it's genuinely surprising to me how clean Texas is when you really think about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like for such a big city, being such a polluter state, because we're so right wing in oil, it's such a clean city, or not city, but like
clean state.
Clean state.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you could say, oh, it's because of the anti-littering laws we have, but I mean,
don't mess with Texas.
Yeah. But I mean, it's genuinely such a beautiful state to drive through, as long as traffic and rain isn't killing you.
Absolutely. I mean, like you said, we travel. Me and you, we're both travelers. And you go to places, I've been to places like California, and you walk downtown and it smells like pee.
Oh, Minneapolis was the same way.
It smells like pee. Washington, D.C., I was there for the inauguration. It smells like pee. Yeah, they tried to clean it up some, but I mean, as soon as it was snowing there, and as soon as the snow would hit the ground, it would turn black. That's how disgusting that city is. And so, again, you look at who runs these places. You look at who's in charge of these places. We're not surprised. It's the people who want to already get rid of the value and the image of what human life truly is. They want to get rid of that. So I'm not surprised by it. I'm not, and so when people say, did you see what the Democrats did? Yeah, I saw it. I'm not surprised, because their whole foundation at this point is to rip the fabrics of this nation apart. That's all they're trying to do at this point, is turn brother against brother, mother against mother.
Because at the end of the day, they benefit from that. They benefit from that division, because guess what? Instead of trying to sell your ideas to the American people, America as a whole, which wouldn't work, Now they can just separate, divide and conquer.
Mm-hmm.
They can sell the ideas to the blacks, the Mexicans, the Jews, the whites, and like, here's how we can help you out specifically at the cost of other people. And, it's like people say, it's easier to focus on yourself than other people. And that's how they win these elections. It's not by, saying the whole people, this is how we can help everyone out. They always go for certain interest groups. And by continuing this divide and conquer strategy, that's how they try to get power. But, as Americans, if we continue to unite, we try to mend these divisions, we can come out of this stronger. Not only because we're going to have community there for the average American, but also because we're going to be weakening those people who take advantage from us being lonely, from us being depressed, from us, not having community. Because, who benefits from those epidemics?
Us?
These big corporations, you know. And when these people benefit, who do they give money to? The Democrats. It's a self-sustaining cycle.
We're the only ones hurt.
Exactly.
We're the only one. The average American is the only one that is hurt from the detriment of in our country is hurt, right? When the Democrats are in power, the richer get richer, right?
Yep.
Other countries get rich. America gets no investment value, but instead we invest everywhere else except ourselves. But that's just their goal, to rip the foundations. And they're doing it with the culture. They're doing it with politics. They're doing it with the economics. They're doing it across the board. Yep. They're doing it across the board. And that's why I'm saying it's time that people stand up and say, wait a minute. This is getting out of hand. We need to stop it. We need to cut back. And, it's time to change the culture, which is what we're seeing that happen. It's time to change the economics. It's time to change the policy. It's time to change these things. And that's what we're seeing happen in America right now.
Yep.
It's happening, and it's a beautiful thing, right? Election night. I'll never forget election night.
Oh my God. And that whole week was, that night was the day, not even just the night, that day. I remember I called you whenever they called Pennsylvania, and we were just like yelling over the phone at each other. We're like,
it was
oh my God.
Beautiful. I remember election day like it was yesterday, right? Me and you. I remember I saw you. I was in a suit. I had on my.
We were both in a suit.
We were both in suits. I had on my Trump hat, and we took the picture with the Trump flag. And I mean, just the excitement in the room of people that were there. And I said, something's about to happen. I don't know what it is. A friend of mine who you're very familiar with, she called me, and I guess her class was having like this assignment, and they had to like guess who was gonna win and all this. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb here. It's gonna be a landslide. Trump's gonna win it all. We're gonna win the House. We're gonna win the Senate. I just was like, we're gonna win it all. Just throw him a rod out there. Let's just see what I catch, right? And I got it right. Because I had a faith in this country that I had never really seen before. And sitting down on election night, watching those votes come in, at one point before they even called it, I said, we did it. It wasn't even over. They hadn't called Pennsylvania. They hadn't called Georgia. But I just said,
it was a direction. Everything, even if it weren't called, you were like,
this is it. Virginia was even.
It was
Virginia was close. And I said, oh my goodness, we're doing it. And I was watching CNN, and they're pulling up the map, and they're like, all right, well, you see this big blue bubble right here. These votes still haven't been counted.
Mirage.
Right, it's the red mirage. This bubble has not been counted. That bubble gets counted. That bubble shifts right. We'll go. We still got this bubble down here. It's not moving it anytime soon. That bubble shift right.
Amen.
So now they're looking all over the map. They're looking. Where is the black people vote? Where did the black people not vote? Where's the middle-aged woman vote? Did they not? No. Where's the Hispanic vote? No, we voted. Black people voted. White people voted. Hispanic people voted. Asian people voted. We didn't vote for you. We didn't vote for the establishment. We didn't vote for the banks. We voted to make America great again. That's what we did.
Yep.
That's what we did.
And now we get to see it,
Absolutely.
These tariffs are scary, but I genuinely think that, you know what, I'll be hopeful.
Yeah.
I'll be like, I'll go on a limb. We'll see how things go. My portfolio is recovering, actually.
Yeah. The stock market is rebounding. The economy. Eggs have dropped again. Eggs are under $3 now. National average. Are we surprised? No. We the people voted for this. We knew it wasn't going to be an overnight thing. We knew it was going to take time, but it's happening. It's happening. And every day I wake up, I can relive that moment. And that's what I love, is the fact that I can relive that victory, relive that moment. That's why I love coming here on Thursdays, because every time I walk in here and I look into this camera and I say, good morning, Houston, because it's a great morning Republicans are in power. We are in control. And America is on its way back.
And, well, I think that's the best thing we could say to end off the show.
America is on its way back, folks. And there's no better place to watch the update, get the shipping information right here on the Patriots Den. I am your host, Patrick Prudhomme. I am here with
the amazing co-host, Brian Fuentes.
the amazing co-host, Brian Fuentes. Brian Fuentes doesn't get any better than Brian.
It really doesn't.
Doesn't get any much better. Shout out to Justin as well, the producer of this. He's great. We love Justin. He's the greatest. Radiodabang, thank you for having us on. Thank you for allowing the Patriots Den to finally have a home somewhere, solid on solid foundation physically. We thank you so much to Radiodabang. We thank you so much to Mike Kahn for allowing us to be here. Thank you to all of the viewers, the listeners, the watchers from around the country.
And you're gonna make me cry, man. You're so sentimental.
Thank you so much. Oh my God. This is the last show of March. What am I gonna do?
You know what? I think we just have to start strong in April, man.
Start strong in April. Folks, this is the last show of March. Happy spring. We're making America great again, one Thursday at a time.
Amen.
We'll see y'all in April. God bless.